Good afternoon, Rexburg. Welcome to today's episode of the Rexburg Hustle. I'm Rick Robinson. This is Travis Green.
This is me right here.
That's Travis, yeah. Guys, welcome to today's show. We are really excited. We had a fantastic pre-show. We have an amazing new local business here in town that we're excited to learn about today. How's Travis today, by the way?
I'm good. I equally am very excited to talk with our guest today. Great new business in town with a lot of love and feel and emotion behind it. There's a big story behind that. And anyway, I can't wait to get started on that. So, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We want to introduce Jed Platt. Jed is here today. And here has a different meaning, right? So, Jed, let me tell you a little bit about Jed. Although his family only recently moved here, Jed Platt has deep roots in the Snake River Valley here. He says moving to Rexburg feels like coming home. He spent some time out of state in the Utah area. He and his wife, Jennifer, are the parents of two small children, which are beautiful. I've seen them. After his family and faith, his next two loves are creativity and community, and that is true. You'll learn more about that. To this end, Jed just opened a new creative outlet downtown, located on the corner of First South and Center Street, called Here. That's why we say we're glad Jed is here. He opened a new store called Here, and we cannot wait to hear more about this and the impact that he is planning to make on the community, pulling everybody together. Jed, we're thankful that you're here. We're glad you're here with us. That word's going to take a different meaning.
That name is so catchy. I love that. I think it's so great.
Well, Jed, we're glad that you are with us today. Tell us about Here.
All right.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for the invitation.
Sure. Of course.
You helped us buy our home, and it was a house. And with what you're doing with this podcast, with your outreach to the community, you really are creating a hometown for us. And that we want to continue that mission with this gallery.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes.
The mission of Here is to really have a sense of place.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And right now it's Rexburg.
Awesome.
That we marry up creativity and community and give you a space to do it.
That is great.
One thing you said in the pre-show is that you were on a quest for community.
Yes.
And it sounds like you've been on this quest for a really long time, just kind of learning the stories of some of the things that you've gone through. Let's talk a little bit about this quest for community and how it's gotten you here and maybe where that started.
Sure. Maybe I'll start with this. When I was an art student years ago, I had a teacher that said, invariably, someone's going to ask you, how long did it take you to make this painting? Mm-hmm. And he says, the worst question ever. Because if you say it took 5 minutes, does that make you a better artist because you're really fast? Or it took 5 years because you put so much time in? He's like, it's a trap. So he said, here's the answer. And I'll pass this on to anyone because this is my answer with how long things take. He said, tell them how old you are in 5 minutes. Because it's everything you've ever learned, every conversation, every observation, and it may have taken you a few minutes to put it all together. So
interesting.
That was my quest for community. It's taken decades. I grew up in a very Beaver Cleaver, quintessential, happy Martha Stewart neighborhood, block parties. Everyone knew everyone, really tight-knit, close. And when I moved from there to a rural community, I didn't have the same experience. Everyone lived far away. I was totally an outsider. I was not one of the 10 founding families of this small community.
Right.
And so to crack the code of community, I realized it needed to be a gathering place. And so I was able to turn the project I was working on at the time into a place where people could gather. Mm-hmm. And I felt embraced by the community to the point where tragic end of the project.
And we heard that story.
Very, very tragic. Yeah.
So after 3 years working on it nights and weekends and enjoying it along the way, that was the other lesson for me is my normal way of being is unless it's pressed, polished, perfect, complete, I don't want to share it.
Yeah.
But along the way, we let people in through the sawdust and all the mess and had great memories. And for a lot of people, this was a historic landmark in their life. It was over 100 years old. They would come in and tell me stories about spending time in what was now my house, but
Which was a church, right?
Yeah, so
It
this
was
was
a
an
church
old
building.
church
Yeah.
in the outskirts of nowhere. Where was this at again?
So it's in the Upper Ogden Valley,
Okay.
Liberty, Utah. The town marker was in my yard, so I was the
Yeah,
town.
right. So an old church, 100-year-old church that you turned into your home, and
Right.
people were coming, telling you the stories, the history. My dad, my uncle, my grandpa did this and that, and
Right, and they said, "Can
Wow.
you be the keeper of our town history?" Even though I was the
Wow.
outside person.
yeah,
And so I was giving more tours of the project than I actually was working on the project until one morning it was completely done. We'd planned a big open house for the community. Everyone come and see it. And I woke up and knock on the door. Two neighbors saying we saw flames coming from your roof. Called the fire department. They said don't go back in. And so I was that guy on the news in pajamas and the neighbor's coat.
that's right.
Disheveled hair, news helicopters. It was a slow news day that day.
Yeah. Oh
But
goodness.
my lesson in that
Yeah.
was enjoy it along the way. It doesn't have to be perfect, and that's kind of the approach to creativity. Is just create, just be in the moment, be with people. The other lesson I learned from that with a lot was a little Red Cross volunteer came, sitting in the snowbank, watching the last 3 years of my life, and everything. I mean, everything is gone. And she handed me a little Ziploc bag. We've all put these together with the soap and the comb and a blanket that some youth group somewhere made for
Right.
someone to start their life over again. You never think you're going to be the person who receives
And
one.
you got it.
And I got it. And she gave me the best advice, and I've revisited this often, is today is a terrible day.
So it added to your story and your life, but it didn't define it.
Right.
There is somebody told me years ago that we are all part of everyone who we've met.
Absolutely.
We gather pieces of everybody. And so when you talk about art and creativity, that's what you're talking about, is just taking your experiences and putting it down. Yeah, your whole life's experience. It may take you 5 minutes to draw it out, but what that represents is huge. And that's
Absolutely.
wonderful. That's wonderful. So,
So we want to
go ahead. Yeah,
engage
sorry.
people and encourage them on that same journey to invest in each other, get to know each
Mm-hmm.
other. That's as creative. Create a memory, create friendship is as much as the visual arts. But we're giving you a place to do it. After that experience, I went to another community, again trying to crack the code. This one turned
Mm-hmm.
out to be kind of a sketchy community. Is that?
Yeah.
And within 5 years, we were able to turn what was really a scary neighborhood into that block parties in the street, kids on bikes, families gathering, because we created a hub.
Yeah.
From there, we went to another community, which was my last part of this puzzle. How do you create community in a transient community when all of the members of this community are moving? And so there were 2 universities in this town. And again, the answer was shared space. Let this be the tradition that carries beyond people going, but there's always a place to gather
Yeah.
and to gather here. So coming to Rexburg, it's all of those together. It's a small town. I'm an outsider. It does feel a little bit like coming home. I mentioned that. My grandmother was born here in Rexburg in 1895. Her grandfather was William F. Rigby, Idaho.
Okay.
And so many of my summers were coming up here with cousins and revisiting the family potato farm.
Oh,
and
sure.
So I love being here and bringing what I've gathered back home. People need a place to gather, a place to be, and it helps to revitalize a community.
Oh, that's terrific. That's terrific.
I think what builds such a strong community is being able to gather. You know, just to embrace those relationships and just to, I feel like so many communities lack that, like you said. Going back to your Ogden story, it was a pretty rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
You said it was 90% rentals. It was kind of a very scary place. And then all of a sudden, a few years, it was, what'd you say, 90% owner occupied? People were coming outside. They felt the sense of community from what you're able to create there. I think that's neat. And I like where we're doing this podcast right now because you're in the very beginning phase of the store here in Rexburg. So it's going to be really exciting to see the sense of community that you're able to bring into our community, which I think we could use a lot of. I think it's a very big opportunity for you.
Now, I want to
go
ask
ahead,
a question here. With all your life's experience and your creative side and just, anyway, the dynamic features that you pull into Rexburg, you have been named by some as the MacGyver of art. Explain that.
So
Do you remember the MacGyver movie, the guy who can make an airplane out of like toothpicks and gum, I guess,
I have been known to pull a few of those tricks. I've been called a MacGyver designer. One example, I was in charge of this very large banquet at a very fancy hotel. Brought in all the decorations, set everything up, and the presenter said, well, where's the centerpiece for the main entrance, which was a new table that they had just added that I had no idea. And I said, I will go get it. I went to my trunk, and the night before I cleaned up a previous church party. I had a case of oranges, I had a plant, and a punch bowl. And I made something, and everyone raved about it, and they said, how long did it take you? And again, I said, all my life.
Let me tell you my life story.
Isn't that something? That is terrific. That is terrific. Well, Rexburg definitely needs a gathering place to make memories. We go to the movies, we do these great things, but the memories stay at the movie theater or whatever. Your place here off center, allows families, people to come and create memories that they can take home. Learning experiences, bonding moments, fun, laughter.
Date nights,
yes. And you have a variety of things. Tell us about what you offer there in terms of you've got classes, you've got product, and we'd like to have you talk about these things too. Sure. But tell us about the actual store here, what's inside.
All right. So we're located on the corner of Center and First South. Mm-hmm. Maybe you've noticed, finally have our sign up. In that building, and a lot of people, they say, oh, this building has been so many things. I went music lessons here, or I got my hair cut here, all those things. And I guess the business doesn't really thrive here because there's been so many things. Well, when we signed the lease on the building, she said, oh, everyone who starts here outgrows it and moves on to bigger space. So we're hoping that might be our trajectory. In the Here Gift Gather Gallery, we have a gift shop. We feature a very curated store, original art, local art and makers, and we change out the gallery every once in a while. And then we also have classroom space, so you can sign up for an ongoing class offered by local members of our community. You can come in for a make and take, like a date night, hour and a half, create something, or a crafternoon. You can come in anytime, and there will always be something open studio for you to make that's creative.
That's awesome. That's fun. Yep. What are your hours? How late do you open? When do you open up?
Currently, we're open after 4 to 7, and then Friday and Saturday from 11 to 7.
Okay.
We stay open later for if you have a group that wants to come in and reserve the space, we'll make that happen.
Okay.
Again, I have a young family, so I'm back and forth, but we're continuing to expand. We make the classrooms available for private groups to use if they want to create something and leave the mess there and not in their own living room or something like that. Also, we make the space available for an instructor to just rent it. They do their own registration and teach whatever their forte is.
That's a neat concept. I really like that. So if anyone's out there that has a unique talent or gift, a craft, art, I don't know, whatever, music, maybe? I mean, whatever it may be that adds value to the community, here, there, get a hold of it, and you can rent the space and hold a class, hold a concert, hold an activity there. That's great.
Oh, and you guys have done things like have art classes, you said pumpkin painting, you've done magic instruction, you've done all kinds of stuff.
So come in. We have something that we're just started calling the Instant Art Show. And this is something that you can come in and do. We will give you and your date or just anyone that comes in a prompt. So like orange or fast. And we do a little tutorial on found art. And it's like an art scavenger hunt. You have 1 hour to go create something. You can write a poem, take a picture, glue pine cones on it, come back, we'll hang up the art show, and then as we jury it, the winner will get a gift card to the gift shop.
Oh, fun.
That's so cool.
So something to create. If you're a Napoleon Dynamite fan and self-portraits and drawing portraits is your skill, we have a self-portrait studio. You can come in and shade your upper lip.
Very fun. Very fun.
And you guys just recently completed a children's art class, is that right? And you guys had an art show for the kids?
We did, and it was really great. It was taught by Marie Withers. She's a local artist. She taught an after-school class, and so we had a collective show of their work that they've been doing the last few weeks, and it was so fun. She'll be teaching a class coming up on the 22nd, a beginning drawing class.
Okay.
$8, a couple hours. That's
great.
It's a way just to, get your feet wet, get your creative juices flowing.
That's great. How big of a group can you handle?
Well, that's a good question. A typical class is around 12.
Okay.
We can do up to 30 or more.
Okay, that's good to know, just so people might know how to gauge the size of the group. If it's a family home evening group from campus, or something like that.
Yes.
So
yeah,
good.
and we'll create something depending on your budget or how many are in your group or the skill or age or interest level.
Yeah.
There are some things you can come anytime. You can come do a coloring sheet, or we have this felt ball garland. You can come. It comes with a needle and thread and all your colors, and you can sit there and make something, or it makes a good gift.
Go ahead.
This is one of the most creative businesses I think I've ever seen. Are you the brains behind all of this? Is this all Jed's mind wheels turning, or where did all this come from? I think it is the coolest thing.
So this is our second store. We had our first one in Provo, and a friend who's known me a very long time, the first time she walked into the shop, she looked around and said, "So this is what the inside of your head looks like."
That's funny.
And I had to agree. So
That's funny.
That's
I
awesome.
Love it.
So if anybody wants to see what the inside of his head looks like, go to the corner of First and Center, and you will see inside his head.
That's funny.
So that is really funny.
What about the products that you sell? What kind of things, when someone comes into your store, what kind of items might they expect to find?
Sure. So we have things. We're a tourist corridor, and so if you're a visitor to Rexburg and want to get a feeling of a sense of place, or a student or your family's visiting, we have souvenirs, great stickers and postcards and things like that. We also have jewelry, original art. I think every home needs a piece of original art. It doesn't have to be expensive, but there's something about it just exists one place.
Yeah.
And it's with you. I have a friend who is an artist, and he filled his children's bedrooms with original art. And as punishment or a consequence, if they were misbehaving, it was to remove the art.
Wow.
And what an impact that had on them as they craved it. They wanted that to be around.
Okay.
One of our popular items is the sister hoodie. These are
I love that
soft.
so much.
Yeah.
I think that's the best.
It's also available, in case you were wondering, in brother hoodie, neighbor hoodie, father hoodie, mother hoodie, and a child hoodie.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
We have them all at our house. They're very comfortable. We have, and I brought this today. This, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a flying pig. I'd always said if I go on live TV, it's when pigs fly. But we have these rocker puzzles. You can find your own spirit animal, and this is something that you can come in anytime and do. It's a great collection. We have a rocking nativity as well. It's fun
cool.
for the holidays.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, your pricing, we were talking about this too. You set your prices where it's easy. A $10 purchase is a $10 purchase.
And tell us the story behind
Yeah,
that, actually.
yeah.
So one of our very first customers in our first shop was a little boy who had $10 birthday money. And he wanted a water bottle. We had really cool water bottles, but they were $10. And so I thought, I can't tell him it's $10.62. That would ruin his birthday. So on the spot, my business partner and I, we decided, let's be that store. Everything is what it's marked. We're an even Stevens store, and we'll pay the sales tax. So everything's perpetually 6% off.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
I love that.
That is great.
Now,
That's
you guys
great.
have, I think this is one of the most clever ideas I think I've ever heard of. So you guys have, it's, what do we call it? It's a local talent co-op. Let's talk about that board.
We're beginning that. So a wall in the gallery just says here. And what I'd like to invite anyone to come in, we have sticky notes. 2 different colors. One is for you to write, here is something I can do. The other one is, here's something I'd like to learn. And we're going to cover the wall and try to connect the dots. And so if there is something like, I've always wanted to learn the harmonica, awesome, let's create a class around it. Or whatever your talent is, everyone has something to share and contribute. It might not look like what people have in their mind of this is creative or not.
Yeah.
But again, to go back to that, anyone can create a memory, create a relationship. There are other definitions to being creative.
There are so many talented people in this area. So many. Just the
Absolutely.
culture that we live in breeds, whether it be sports or music or reading or arts and theaters or whatever, there's so much talent. And so I love that concept of saying, okay, I'm somebody who wants to learn how to do this. Who's my connection who can give it to me? And let's put them together and just grow the talents. There's a movie that I watched years ago, and I picked up a little clip out of it that I'll never forget. And it talks about our lives. It talks about the purpose of our lives being to gain our talents, to understand what they are, to develop our skills. And the purpose of life is to give them all away. To help somebody else be better because of what we are and what we've learned. So I love that. I love that.
Is your personal art there?
I have a few pieces there. It's always hard for me when someone says, "Are you an artist?" It's like, well, depending on the day and who's critiquing my work. Like, it's so
Right.
subjective.
Yeah.
I have one thing that I wrote this children's book for my daughter. I'd hoped to illustrate it, but I thought I want to complete when she's still little.
Yeah.
And so if it's waiting on me, it'll be a grandkid gift. So I had my friend Sarah Samuelson illustrate it. She was also a student here at Ricks College back in the day.
Yeah.
And so I have a few products that I've produced and some others that I'm currently in production.
Working on?
Yeah,
Awesome.
so I'd love to share those when you come in.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I had a unique opportunity to listen about this book, and I guess I'll just put the plug in. This book is cool, not just because it's a child's story design and it's got really neat art, but there's hidden meanings and things in the book, and the backstory behind it. It's a story in and of itself. It's a movie. It's incredible. So this little book has a massive impact on it. The more you learn about it, it's awesome. Yeah.
How do people learn about that book? Because now I'm really curious.
You've got to come here.
Okay, perfect. That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, you brought 600 coffee filters with you.
I did.
Is that here? That is good.
I know, that's
That
gonna
is
be
just the
good.
best, Jed. That is.
So this is an upcoming class. It'll be taught by Bernadine McCandless. This is a coffee filter wreath, and it's a class you can sign up. Great, fun thing. Gather with your friends. We put on some music and hot chocolate, and it's just a creative night, and you get to come home with something really cool.
That's
That's like
amazing.
stout. That thing is not going anywhere. Just so you know, that's like the real deal. That's pretty heavy.
My wife and I have
Yeah.
made some little things similar to that for our kids' parties, little whatevers, but not with 600 coffee filters. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
That's
so
intense.
yeah.
And Bernadine will also be teaching some other classes. One that's coming up is called Where Did the Bees Go? Mm-hmm. And you can come and learn about honey and the process, and also make beeswax candles.
Oh, cool.
And that's a fun, again,
Very
date
cool.
night, or bring your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
You said in the pre-show, anyone can create a memory, and that I love that. That stuck with me. I wrote it down. I'm going to probably engrave it on something and put it on my desk. I love that. But this is a place for people to come to make memories together, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of, I'm guessing, the mission, the purpose behind it. Like you said, it's all about gathering. But more importantly, I think, is making those memories together as family, friends, whatever.
It's having that shared experience. If you look at our society, they created shopping malls. Let's put all the stores in one place because it's more convenient.
Right.
Well, what's more convenient than shopping online now? So all these shopping malls, like, how do we compete with that? And so they're infusing the experience. Like, you're seeing splash pads and things that you can only do in person, and gathering and having that experience with other people. And so that's what our gallery is, a place to connect.
It's a great
to be, especially in cold Rexburg.
Yes, yes.
When you're feeling a little isolated, you can come here and feel connected.
And that's a great point. Coming up in the winter months here, what a great place to just be and grow and be in
And
those
I
memories.
like how you said that. It is kind of that mantra of be here now. It's kind of that be present with the people that
Which we
You're
lack in
giving
society.
presents, too.
We lack it. Being present is kind of going away, I feel like.
Yeah, it's tough.
So-
It's tough.
Now, how do people find you? You're on social media. You're on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes,
Okay.
we're revamping So you'll have an opportunity to register for classes online. So our website's forthcoming. But currently you can find us on Instagram, Here Gift Gather, and Facebook.
Perfect.
Or always you can find us here.
Just go there.
Center in first.
Yep.
Just go there.
Go there to here. Yep. Now I have to go there.
To find us here, you go there.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, Jed, anything else before we end the show that you'd like to mention about your store, about you? I think it's fascinating. You're the first person to ever decorate the studio, so thank you for that. We need some decorations in here.
The concept of here, it just exists in our community. So whatever is brought there, the energy, the creativity, or wanting to learn something, it's all about here. I've had people ask me, like, is this a franchise? And like, it could go other places, but it will only exist like this. This is different than the one that we had previously because of the community need and the community resources. Again, I'm a MacGyver designer. So what do we have here? How do I connect the dots? And let's have a place where people can feel connected.
So, again, I called you the MacGyver of art, the MacGyver designer. And so if somebody comes in and says, I've got an idea, but I don't have a clue how to make it work, they can come with an idea and you can help them put this thing together.
I would love to. I've mentored a lot of creatives on different projects, and I'd love to do that. I'd love to see where people are and see the light bulb come on for them. In our last gallery, I wish we still had it. We ended up selling it, and I lament it, but it was called the Great Idea Chair. And it had a great big light bulb over it, and people could just sit there until they got their idea and turn the light on.
I love it.
And
so cool.
I love it.
You can come here, and I would love to, if you've got a project or a product. A lot of our makers, they have their Etsy shop, and I still encourage them to do that, but we are a storefront that we can listen for the feedback you're not getting when people are scrolling through, if they find you on Etsy. But if they have a question about your product, we can direct them there, say, yes, that comes in these colors, or bigger, smaller. But if the birthday party's tonight and you need it right now, or you want to see it and touch it, you can come here and get it.
Yeah.
And all those people who are trying a new idea or a concept, it's a way for them to get some momentum and exposure on a one or two project rather than having to open a whole gallery like we have.
Right.
That's fantastic. Well, Jed, we just appreciate you coming here, but we appreciate even more developing the here that's downtown to engage and pull people in and discover their talents and help them blossom, help them grow, make connections, and just offer such a dynamic element to the community that truly will make memories to last forever. That is wonderful. We appreciate you coming on. Go see Jed there at the Here store. We're going to try not to tongue twist that up too much, but we certainly encourage everyone to go visit Jed and his great store there. Anything else, Rick?
I can just guarantee nobody will forget the name of the store.
No.
So
no.
We're going to rename our company. We're going to rename our company there.
Yeah,
so.
That's right.
We had someone, I'll end with this. So
Okay.
after we closed our other shop and moved up here, we joked about having a here and a there. And they said, oh, you've gone to the hereafter.
Oh my goodness. That's
that.
funny. Oh, that is good. Well, Rexburg, thank you for tuning in. We're excited to have Jed here. Go visit him there at Here. Boy, just go visit them. It's the time of year to have some great time, to make some memories, bring home some gifts for your family, your loved ones, and most importantly, just develop yourselves, your skills, your talents, and enjoy life. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next time, Rexburg.
Thanks.